Have you ever noticed how some days feel completely ordinary, yet they hold the power to change the direction of an entire life? Our story begins on one such day in Japan. Mark, a man in his middle years, followed his usual routine, waking up, going to work, completing his tasks, and returning home. On the surface, everything looked normal. He had stability, a home, and a long marriage that had lasted through many seasons of life. But inside, something felt different. The laughter, the spark, and the effortless connection that once made his marriage vibrant seemed to have dimmed over time. This realization didn't arrive suddenly. It was more like a soft whisper that grew louder each day. Mark began to notice how conversations at the dinner table had become shorter, how shared moments felt distant, and how the house that once echoed with warmth now seemed quieter. He still cared for his wife, and she cared for him, but the closeness they once had was no longer the same. It's a situation many people experience in long relationships, not because of one mistake or one argument, but because life has a way of pulling attention in different directions. Mark wasn't angry, just unsettled at a crossroads between staying the same or changing. With respect and courage, he chose not silence, but to seek guidance for himself and his relationship. One morning, Mark visited a law office, not out of impulse, but out of a genuine desire to understand his options. The office was calm, and the staff greeted him warmly. It wasn't just about paperwork or procedures. For Mark, this was about having someone listen, someone who could help him see his situation more clearly. Sometimes, when we feel uncertain, what we need most is a space to share our feelings without fear of judgment. That's where Yoko entered the story. She was a legal consultant, professional yet compassionate, who believed that behind every case there was a human story. She listened attentively as Mark spoke about the changes in his marriage, the distance, the quietness, and his search for clarity. Rather than rushing to offer solutions, she encouraged him to reflect. She reminded him that many relationships go through phases, and sometimes what feels like an ending can, with effort, transform into a new beginning. At the same time, she acknowledged that in certain cases, choosing to part ways respectfully can also be an act of love and maturity. Mark appreciated her honesty. For the first time in a long while, he felt that his emotions were understood. What struck him most was the balanced way Yoko presented the situation. She didn't tell him what to do. Instead, she helped him explore the deeper questions. What does happiness mean to you at this stage of life? What does respect for yourself and your partner look like? How do you imagine the years ahead? These weren't easy questions, but they were important ones. That day began a journey of reflection. Mark learned happiness means adapting, rediscovering, and making choices that honor love with courage. Mark, guided by Yoko's wisdom, faced the truth of his marriage. After heartfelt talks with his wife, both admitted the distance between them. Choosing honesty over silence, they decided to part respectfully, not in anger, but in courage, accepting that true happiness sometimes means granting each other freedom for renewal. To mark this turning point, Mark invited Yoko to share a simple dinner, not as celebration, but as gratitude for her guidance, her listening ear, and the calm way she had helped him discover his path. Over the meal, there was no heaviness. Instead, there was an atmosphere of sincerity. Mark spoke about the relief he felt, not because of separation, but because of the respect with which it was handled. Yoko reminded him that this was not the end of love, but the transformation of love, expressed through understanding and the willingness to let go gracefully. That evening, Mark felt lighter than before. He carried no bitterness. Instead, he carried a quiet dignity, knowing that life sometimes asks us to make difficult choices, but choices that honor the best in ourselves and in others. Mark and his wife ended their marriage not with sorrow, but with calm gratitude for the years, lessons, and memories they shared. He realized that happiness in marriage is not measured by longevity, but by respect and understanding. Sometimes that means rebuilding together. Other times, moving forward separately with dignity. Separation, he learned, is not failure. It can be an act of love, ensuring both live authentically rather than in pretense. Mark's reflection revealed broader truths. All relationships, marriage, family, or friendship need care, communication, and honesty to prevent quiet distance. His choice to seek guidance was not weakness, but wisdom, showing the value of compassionate support. Like a garden, relationships must be nurtured, and when seasons change, both staying and parting can hold beauty if done with respect. Mark carried forward the lesson that dignity, gratitude, and open communication create lasting forms of happiness. In the days that followed, Mark noticed something unexpected, a sense of peace. His home was quieter, but it was no longer filled with unspoken questions. Instead, there was clarity. He and his wife had chosen their path together, and that decision, though difficult, gave them both room to breathe and rediscover themselves. He often thought back to the final conversation he had shared with her. It wasn't about regret, nor was it about blame. It was about appreciation, the recognition that their shared years had meaning, even if their journey had reached its natural close. This appreciation made their farewell less of an ending and more of a transition, like turning the page of a book to begin a new chapter. For Mark, happiness in marriage meant honesty, growth, and partnership, not perfection. He learned that relationships thrive on communication, patience, and shared effort, but when paths diverge, respectful separation can hold equal meaning. Success lies in honoring each other, not duration. Mark also discovered the value of seeking guidance. No one must face life's crossroads alone. With support, confusion becomes clarity and fear transforms into courage. As viewers, we can take something valuable from Mark's journey. We can remind ourselves that happiness in any relationship is not automatic. It requires intention. It requires setting aside time to talk, to listen, and to notice the small shifts before they grow into distance. And perhaps most importantly, it requires compassion. Compassion for the other person, and compassion for ourselves. Life will always present us with choices. Some are easy, others are deeply personal and challenging. But as Mark discovered, the way we make those choices can shape our lives far more than the choices themselves. By choosing respect, by choosing honesty, and by choosing to see endings as opportunities rather than failures, we allow happiness to take on new forms. So if you are listening to this story today, let it be a gentle reminder. Cherish the relationships you have, nurture them with care, and never be afraid to speak your truth with kindness. And if you ever find yourself at a crossroads, remember that happiness is not found in holding on tightly to what no longer grows, but in walking forward with courage, gratitude, and respect. That is the legacy of Mark's story, not a tale of loss, but a testament to the power of dignity in love and the beauty of finding peace in life's transitions. If you value stories about life lessons, emotional growth, and inspiration, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more videos that bring wisdom and heart to everyday life.